Hey, you got that big boss, her, Kathy. Okay, all good. Peter Mounts. Hey, hey, everybody's here. Dennis, great. Okay. So this was crazy because we had 53 trades in 2022 and 49 of them paid out. We had 3 break even and 1 loss. So if you like a strategy that's highly accurate, then you're going to love this. And if you hate losing money, you're going to love this too. We call it Project 52. It's a little known income trade that gives us the chance to add cash flow to our portfolio every week of the year, starting today. Now, here's a risk disclaimer. You got to take this seriously because everything you do in the market involves risk. I said it before, I'll say it again. Anything can and will happen in the stock market. So never trade with money you cannot afford to lose, and you'll be fine if you follow that advice. So while the S&P sank like a rock in 2022, my best strategy has pulled in, get this folks, 53 trades, 49 winners, 3 break even and 1 loser. So Project 52 actually had 53 trades in 2022. We try to get 1 trade out every week. Sometimes we might have more than 1. You can do as many of these as you want every week, but I like to line it up with 1 real sweet one every week. Now, I think I'm a pretty good stock picker. But I'm going to be honest with you. I could have never used a regular trading strategy to generate a win rate like this, especially in 2022. That would have been impossible. And anybody that tells you they can have a batting average like that is just not being honest with you. It was impossible. It was impossible because stocks didn't have any follow through. So it would have been virtually impossible to have any kind of win rate with any kind of measurable wealth, just trading stocks. And the premise of Project 52 is completely different than the hot stock culture that got demolished in 2022. In short, this is designed to pay us through market volatility. We actually get paid based on fear, which is great because fear right now, going into 2023, I've never seen more fearful, more uncertainty, more hesitation than I've ever seen in my life. And that's great for 2023. So if you use this strategy in 2023, you're probably going to get great results. Now, of course, every strategy is going to have losers too. I'm not going to blow smoke up your skirt and tell you this is going to win 100% of the time because it's not. That's me knocking on wood. We're going to have losses this year, but it won't be the end of the world. And last year was an incredible year, and I won't guarantee the same results every year. It'd be reckless of me to do that. Irresponsible, and I'm neither one of those. So I can't guarantee we're going to kill it in 2023. I got a really good idea we are, but I can't make any promises. But in my opinion, there's no better strategy for tackling these kind of markets that we're in now in 2023 than the one powering Project 52. This has been a workhorse for decades, folks. It's not just some fluke, okay? And I'm not talking about getting measly returns from a savings account, which doesn't even keep up with inflation. I'm not talking about quarterly dividends for pennies on the dollar. I'm talking about a proven method that has allowed us the chance to pull weekly profits out of the market with any regular brokerage account. There's nothing fancy about this. And we do this without ever owning a single share of stock. How about that? That's pretty cool. That's one of the things I love about it, because you don't want to be owning stocks right now. And so far in 2022, while Reuters reports that U.S. households have lost nearly $7 trillion in net worth, almost entirely due to the stock market's 2022 swoon. Now, while that was going on, Project 52 has been able to amass an incredible 152% net return while the market wiped $7 trillion out of everybody else's account. Now, just think about that for a second. The folks that did this didn't suffer what everybody else suffered through by just buying and holding and hanging on and hoping and praying. Think about that. Someone with just a total of 10K invested could have had the chance at an extra 492 in income every single week on average. And that's putting it kind of low. But this is what we're going to go with. I want you to wrap your mind around how would it be to make $500 a month, a week, I should say, every week, no matter what's going on. gas, groceries, utilities, everything has gone sky high, but this thing still is paying out like a Swiss watch. Now, I'm sure an extra 492 a week would have made a real impact on a lot of folks' lives. Again, no strategy is perfect, and I hope it goes without saying that investors should never risk what they can't afford to lose. But the strategy behind Project 52 is a tactic I've been perfecting for decades. I've been quietly working on this behind the scenes since one major thing took over about 10 years ago, 12 years ago now, and I'll tell you a little bit about that too. Now, let me be clear. In 35 years of trading experience, having worked in just about every area of professional finance and running over $1 billion through the markets, and after trading through the crash of 1987, man, was that a doozy. I was sitting right on the trading desk while that happened. And through the 2000s dot-com bubble, that was another great trading time. And through the Great Recession of 08, what a major opportunity that was. The COVID flash crash I just love that. And I don't think there's ever been a better time to use this strategy that I'm going to teach you right now. And that's saying quite a lot considering how well we did. 53 trades, 51 winners, a 1 loser, 3 break even, 98% win rate. This was just average 3-day hold. That's another one that I love, and an average 5% return per week. But you can adjust that return however you want. I like that 5% sweet spot. Now listen, this strategy is not your normal cup of tea. This is unlike anything else you've probably ever done. And we're not in this strategy to see stocks go to all-time highs or shoot up in price or shoot down in price. And we're not betting on a stock to drop in a free fall either. In fact, generally speaking, it doesn't matter if the stock goes up 5%, falls 3%, or even goes nowhere during the 3 days we're in the trade. So investors who use this strategy have the chance to trade and collect weekly income simply based on market volatility. Now, let me just say one thing about weekly income. That's got to be the best thing in the world. If you know how to make weekly income, you're unstoppable. If you know how to make weekly income, you got the most important skill a person could ever have. That skill will last you the rest of your life. You don't need a big 401k. You don't need a big pension. You don't need all the things everybody else says you need. If you know how to make weekly income, you're unstoppable. Write that down, weekly income. Now, the volatility index is often referred to as the fear index because let's face it, when the market is uncertain, people are terrified. And this strategy literally gets paid on fear, which is what I love about it. And what better time to get paid than on fear than right now? This is the most fearful entry into a market I've ever seen. Reuters is saying U.S. stock drop on recession fears. NASDAQ closes at a new bear market low. How about that? Business Insider says recession fears have paralyzed Wall Street as 2023 stock market predictions turn unusually bearish. And Bankrate says stock market outlook for 2023 is going to be terrible. That's basically it. Experts predict amid recession fears. It's not good. Millionaires, business is saying millionaires predict gloomy U.S. market will get much worse in 2023. Hey, this isn't news. This is just what's out there right now. And this is the kind of market we're going to have because recession fears are reaching new highs and business revenues are dropping. Earnings are going to be lower for corporate profits, corporate earnings, and people are beginning to pinch pennies like I haven't seen in a while. Yet, at the same time this is all going on, this Project 52 strategy has been incredibly consistent all year long. I'll tell you one more thing. People that have not had success with any other strategy in their life have had success using this strategy. So pay attention to this. Now, just look at the last few months of cash flow based on a $10,000 investment. This is in September, week 1, 500, week 2, 400, 700, 600. That's 2,200 in extra income in 1 month. Extra. October, same thing, 400, 600, 500, 700. Now that amount could be whatever you want. This is just a really applicable example of what's happening. That could be 1,400 in a week, 1,600 a week, 1,500 a week, 2,700 in a week. I've seen it all. I know you can do it. It's possible. It's happening every week in the market. November, same thing, $500. We got a 0 break even week. Nobody cried about that because we had so many winners. So you got 1 break even. That's going to happen. So we got 500 to break even, 500, 500, 500. You still end up with $2,000 for the month. Then in December, same thing rolls around. Just beautiful. This thing pays off like nothing I've ever seen. And that would have been north of $2,000 in extra income each of these last few months. Extra income, really, not a whole lot of work going into that. An average of over $1,300 in extra income throughout 2022 with just a $10,000 investment. Now, see, this is what I'm talking about when you're making cash flow. We didn't even talk about one stock yet, okay? We're using the stock as an asset to create cash flow. All right. So we're talking about how well this strategy has done. And we haven't talked about picking any hot stocks or any drop in stocks or nothing like that, because cash flow is what you got to focus on in 2023. Money that could have gone toward paying the mortgage on a house, or maybe covering the new car payment, or just getting extra cash, right? Well, everything else is getting more expensive. You're getting extra cash. And the best part about Project 52 is you can unleash it with just an internet connection every Tuesday morning without fail, just like today, from anywhere in the world. I got people doing this all over the world with just a couple minutes of effort. That's really all it takes. As a matter of fact, check this out. I never missed a week of doing this, even during my 3-month fishing trip when I was in a private cabin on the Frying Pan River outside Aspen, Colorado. This is heaven for me, folks. And when you're using this strategy, you can go wherever you want and do whatever you want. I spent 3 months here staying in this little cabin right here. In this cabin, it didn't even have cell service. And it didn't even have, it had really spotty Wi-Fi connection, but there was no cell service out here on the river. I'd come back here Tuesday, put my trade on, I'd get back out fly fishing. That's just how simple this was. And today, I want to give you the inside scoop on Project 52 because I know you're going to love it. If you only use one strategy this year, make it this one. Plus, you're going to hear about the 5% rule and how it's already made a huge impact on our performance in 2023, 2022, and already starting in 2023. And more importantly, my students' accounts, this is what means most to me, is how well they do. This is the thing that gives me the most satisfaction. I've made a ton of money in the market. What I really like now, my satisfaction comes from people just like you telling me how well you're doing and making money with the strategy that I perfected. And starting today, this might be you as well, and I hope that is. And today I'm going to explain why most traders fail in a bear market, and you're the victim of a Wall Street trap you're not even aware of. The little known brokerage technique that lets you tap into the same loophole Wall Street uses against you, and 4 ways we've won in the markets like these, the same techniques that helped us score 92.3% win rate in 2022 in the good, the bad, and the ugly markets. Hey, here's one more thing. If you find a strategy that's done better than 92.3% accuracy, send it to me, okay? I'd love to find something that's doing better than what I'm doing right now. I'm showing you guys what's working for me, and it's working better than anything I've ever seen. But if you know something and somebody that's doing better than me, doing better than 92%, tell me about it, okay? I'd love to know about that. I don't think there is. And of course, at the end of this, I'm going to take time to answer as many of your questions as I can. So I'm going to go through this presentation. Then I see some questions in the chat. I'm going to open up. We're going to go through those live and get you all set up and ready to roll. Now, before I spill the beans on the details behind this, let me take a quick moment to introduce myself. For those of you who don't know me, this is me, Jack Carter. I've got now over 37 years and $1 billion in experience. I was trained at Dean Witter in the World Trade Center in 1985. That's a place near and dear to my heart. And I'm obsessed with trading for income. I don't know how else to say it. I am just literally obsessed. But here's the weird part is even though I'm focused on income trading, I'm a former NASDAQ market maker, a professional day trader, and I've run my own hedge fund. But my most proudest achievement is that I've worked with tens of thousands of traders across 40 countries to help them get better results. And that's the part I love. Now, today I'm amped up. If you can't tell, I get all jacked up when I'm talking about this strategy because I can't help it, right? Every time I see cash hit in my account every week, I get totally jacked up about it. And I love sharing this with people because I see them do it. And then when they tell me about it, they don't want to do anything else. They just want to do this. So that's why I'm glad you're here, to get educated on something, because I get to talk about my favorite aspect of the stock market and what I call creating cash flow out of thin air. That's really what it is, creating cash flow out of thin air. And frankly, if that kind of thing with a 90% plus win rate doesn't get your blood flowing, then maybe trading is just not in your DNA, because this is the kind of thing we're trying to do to make money. And we got a super high win rate and we got super big cash flow coming in every week. But if generating a few $100s in extra income every week, it psychs you, then it's time to buckle up, Buttercup, because we're going to get in through this thing from A to Z. And I can't wait to share it with you. Now, I realize I just showed you my resume from the past 30 plus years in the markets, but I got to be honest, it wasn't always like this for me. I got my teeth kicked in when I got started, way worse than I should have, but I was aggressive and maybe a little reckless right when I got started. So when I first started, I did what most new traders do. I used speculative options attempting to hit it big, and it cost me just about everything I owned, and even more than monetary cost. Now, I remember my first get-rich-quick trade attempt. It was in November of 1985. I remember it like it happened yesterday. And here's the background about it. And I was a rookie stockbroker with Dean Witter, just got back out of the World Trade Center, which means I wasn't making any real money yet. I was still on this stupid little quota. You have to, you got paid nothing per month and you had to make this quota. And I should have known a thing or two about investing. I thought I did. I just got done going through the whole Dean Witter training school. I mean, I thought I knew it all, right? And that November, I had a stock that I had spent weeks researching. I had all my analysis in order and I was convinced this was a sure thing. And I even got another guy at the firm to go halvesies with me on this trade. We really wanted to load up. So we both went in on this trade. And there I was, an amateur trader, fresh out of Wall Street school, right? Making a speculative move, thinking I'd found a sure thing. The whole time, my boss and everybody was like, Jack, you got to get on the phone and open accounts. You can't be trading for yourself. You don't even know what you're doing. Hey, but that didn't stop me. I was trading on my own. I had a sure thing. I was so sure, I broke the first rule of trading. And that is, I invested money I could not afford to lose. I used money I'd set aside for an airline ticket to go back home to Gary, Indiana for the holidays, because I hadn't seen my family since I took this job with Dean Witter. I was like, from college to this, that was the longest I had gone without seeing my family. So I wanted to go back, and I was planning to cash out of this big trade. Now, this was in November. It's going to cash out in December. And I'm going to head home as a big shot with more money than I ever had and more money than everybody I knew. And I'd just be real big time, big shot. That's what I was hoping. But not so fast, my friend. That is not how this story unfolded. Instead, it was 3 weeks of torture watching this investment drain away. And this is money I can't afford to lose. And instead of being smart and cutting my losses when it was obvious this wasn't going to work out, I did what almost every options trader does, which was I held on as it ran out of time, and I watched the entire thing go to zero. Now, this was a crippling event for me. It was emotionally crippling. My confidence was totally shaken, not to mention it ruined my plans of going home, pretending I'm a big shot. This just, it really rocked my world hard, right? I thought, man, this might actually be impossible. You go through Wall Street, you come back, you're trying to make one little trade to hit it, and the whole thing goes to zero, right? So not only was I mentally shaken, I was embarrassed. I was also flat broke. I mean, things could not have gotten worse for me. This trade started me on a downhill plunge that took me a long time to get out of. And here's a killer. I was fired not long after that, because while I was playing around trying to trade for myself and my customers, Dean Witter wanted us to be on the phone, telemarketing, telesales, marketing mutual funds, government securities, mutual funds, and I'd get paid a commission on this. And, I had to do so much in commissions for the firm every quarter, or I would have got fired. So exactly 1 year after I started with Dean Witter, I got fired for not producing enough commissions. And I'm just not a good salesman like that. You know, I was more interested in trading than being a telemarketer. Right now, the only good thing about that was that I learned exactly why most people lose money. And for the years following this event, I dug deep into how options contracts worked. And I realized that hundreds of thousands of high risk bets were taking place all the time. And guess what? Most of these amateur traders were doing exactly what I was trying to do, taking low probability, highly speculative bets and holding on to them even as they became hopeless. Now, you've heard of a light bulb moment, right? It's like the aha moment you get. And I realized with so many of these trades happening all the time, doing exactly what I did and expiring worthless. Now, I just needed a way to flip the odds completely around to turbocharge my own account. But most people are never told it's even possible to do that. So at first, while I lost buying that option, I was still looking for a solution of how to buy options. How dumb is that, right? Where the real thing is just flip it around. And that's why I said I went through a real period where I got my teeth kicked out. Now, this is how I figured out you got to flip this whole thing around. And I wasn't even aware this was possible at the time. Now, listen, if you had a hard time making money in 2022, or you've seen your brokerage account take a bath over the last few months, don't blame yourself, all right? Because you didn't know about this. And now that you know about this, I expect you to take action and start using this. But going forward, don't blame yourself about what happened in the past, because Wall Street has a lot of folks completely fooled. You see, most traders I know believe the only way to win at the trading game is to pick the right direction on a stock. That is like embedded in everybody's brain. That's like the whole foundation of Wall Street, right? You're picking something going up or down. So if you're buying a stock, you got to pick one going up. If you're shorting it, you got to find one going down. That's it. It's either up or down. You're either buying one going up or you're trading one going down. And that's the lie that Wall Street wants you to believe. And as a former market maker, I learned the game Wall Street plays. They literally capitalize on forcing you to make a prediction on a stock's direction. Now, the fact of the matter is, when uncertainty rises, Wall Street milks hardworking people by changing the game and getting paid by our own fear. They did it all in 2022 by tapping into the same exact loophole that signaled an incredible 152% portfolio return in 2022 during some of the toughest market conditions we've ever faced. I would say that 2022 was the toughest market I've ever seen in my life. And my best students have loved having this anchor in the storm strategy all year long. Check this out. This is Barbara saying, it works great. I did my first trade on Tuesday and it's going to expire today with a $250 profit. That's Barbara. And Barbara, she's just like you. Every single person on here today has the same talents and abilities Barbara does. You just have to have them channeled in the right direction, like Barbara did. She pulls 250 out of the market. How about Wieben? He got a 100% win rate. He says it's been a great experience with this income alert. Thanks. Hey, you need a great experience. You need this strategy. All right. Then we got Jared. Made 2,600 getting out in and out of Amazon credit spread this week. Good stuff. Now, of course, I have to remind you that the markets are uncertain and no returns are guaranteed. But since it served me well throughout my career, I don't feel like I'd be doing my duty to not share this with you, right? It's like, I feel like it's my obligation to get this out to as many people as possible because I know it works and I already know it's changed people's lives. So if you're tired of wondering how your financial planner is losing money faster than the S&P, if you're worn out trying to figure out which way the markets will go next, and you really want to understand the best way to take advantage of all this volatility, then take notes. Get out a pen and paper. We're going to go through this thing, and then we're going to open it up to questions. Now, you see, in the markets like these, the experts, they know something most mainstream traders don't know. And I would call this the golden rule of being a multi-dimensional trader. In other words, if you want to be a trader who can withstand and profit in all market conditions, no matter what, then you need to know this rule. And this is the golden rule. So write this down. And I've been saying this for over 10 years. And, you know, in a lot of markets, you're in a stock pickers market recently. So stock selection is always important. That's very, very important. But here's this thing, folks. In market chaos, strategy selection is even more important than stock selection. In other words, if I go on to put on a trade, it's not what stock am I going to use so much. It's what strategy am I going to use to make the money. And that's going to be a really, really key thing going forward in 2023. Because if you look back, you see that the people that did the best in 2022 weren't always necessarily the best stock pickers. They were the best strategy pickers. They picked the best strategy to fit those market conditions. So write this down. Strategy selection is even more important than stock selection. And thankfully, despite what the fear-mongering talking heads on TV would have you believe, which is all gloom and doom, talking about everybody getting killed. Hey, let me tell you something. There are strategies out there for these kind of markets, because when fear is running rampant, it has a direct impact on options, okay? Now, we know it has a direct impact on stocks. But did you know that this fear has an even bigger direct impact on options, especially options pricing? And that's our edge, but it might not be what you think. So let me go on here. Now, you see, when fear and volatility spike, options prices get real expensive, real fast, okay? So if you're buying options right now, your chances of winning just got slashed. In fact, I would love it if you wrote down a New Year's resolution. I'm not big on New Year's resolutions because I think you can make a resolution any day of the year. But hey, we're starting a new year. A lot of people like New Year's resolutions. Make make a tiny one, okay? Make a resolution, a New Year's resolution to never buy an option in 2023. Okay, because if you're buying options, your chances of winning just got slashed. And Wall Street knows this, and it has flipped their game. And what they're doing right now, and this is happening every single day the stock market is open, is Wall Street is selling overpriced options to you people that are options buyers trying to hit it big. They're selling way overpriced options to you. And here's why. It's all about the risk reward that market makers use to price options. So in normal markets, stocks trend pretty consistently. So Wall Street can price options rather cheap since they have a good idea where that stock will end up. But in volatile markets, stocks whipsaw daily. And even Wall Street is clueless where a stock might end up by expiration. They're clueless where a stock might end up by the end of the day. How many times have we seen the market start up and then down 400, or the market start down and then it's up 100, right? So they don't know where the stock is going to be by expiration. They don't know where the stock is going to be by lunchtime, let alone but when the market closes. So in order to hedge themselves from these little guys making massive profits on the big swings, what they do is they simply jack up the options prices through the roof to lessen their own risk, which is why you don't want to be buying any options. And they make themselves more money by selling overpriced options to the public, since they're not making money on picking stocks, okay? Wall Street is making their money selling options to you, not picking stocks for their clients. And right now, there's a huge opportunity. And here's why. When something is overpriced, you don't want to buy it. You want to sell it. But the thing is, people don't realize that the options market is overpriced because they can't see it. They don't understand it, which is the way Wall Street wants it, keeping you in the dark, keeping you blind to what I call the shadow market that has more money willing to give you on a daily basis than any other market out there. So when something's overpriced, you don't want to buy it, you want to sell it. And that plays right into the hands of the Project 52 strategy. You see, a lot of investors have no clue that you can use any traditional brokerage account to tap into the same exact edge Wall Street uses against most retail traders. And I'm going to walk you through it today, step by step. So what you're about to see is the framework that built a 92.3% win rate during the brutal 2022 markets. And hey, I got to tell you something. I'm going to try to beat that win rate in 2023. I know that sounds crazy, but that's my goal. I don't even think anybody else did 92% win rate last year. Again, if they did, tell me about it, right? So what I'm going to show you here is the framework that built 92.3% win rate during the brutal 22 markets using this strategy. So something no one anywhere could do simply by picking stocks up or down, especially in these markets. Like I told you, without the options market, this would have been a terrible market for me and just about everybody else I know. And the one thing I take pride in my career is, while many other professionals are bull market geniuses, I've always survived and thrived in times of extreme volatility, even in bear markets. And it makes perfect sense. For over 20 years, I've been beating the drum about the benefits of being an options seller rather than an options buyer. Now, not only do sellers of options have a built-in advantage over buyers, over 76% win advantage according to the CBOE, but sellers also generate premium up front. Now, the way the options market works is there's a buyer and a seller. So if you sell to open an options position, you're going to get paid immediately by the options buyer. That's just how it works. You would think you'd only get paid if the trade worked out in the end, but that's not how it works. When you sell to open an option, you get paid immediately by that buyer, and that cash is guaranteed by the CBOE to hit your account instantly. So option sellers generate premium up front. Now, let me repeat that. When you're a seller, whether you're right or wrong about the position, you get an upfront premium every single time. So while options buyers pay money to take risk to see what happens, as an option seller, you're taking in money and you kind of already know what's going to happen, okay? And beyond that, once you understand how to sell options and target fat premiums, you can combine it with buying options and stocks to create phenomenal trade scenarios. Now, let me pause here to give you a few examples of this. Now, you remember in February, that was when stuff was really getting tough. February, the market was all over the place because Russia's invasion in the Ukraine. In other words, it sparked volatility. And here's what it looked like. The market's going down, Russia invades, the market really drops down. This is massive volatility. Look at the length, the price elasticity in that one day. Russia invades, market goes down, bouncing all around. Now, many traders would run from a market like that, but not us, because with our system, we were confident we could sell Amazon options and collect a premium, and we did it, claiming 5% in just 3 days. So that 3 days, that's always the case. We're always getting in on Tuesday for Friday's expiration. So it's always just a 3-day hold. And just a few weeks later, we're at it again. The markets had Europe, inflation, a looming CPI numbers on their mind, and you could see the results. Look at this day. Market doesn't know what to do. Boom. That's a massive drop. Boom, an even lower drop. And then it can't get even back to where it was, and it just keeps fading. And in other words, that's just volatility you're looking at right there. But we didn't run from a fight. We jumped in on another bearish call on Amazon and claimed 8% in just 3 days. And this has been the case all year, even beyond. It's not like 2022 was our first year. We got 11 years this service has been around, which is another thing. If you got to know of a trading service that's been around over 11 years, tell me about it, because I don't know of any of them. And you don't stay in business 11 years by putting out a bunch of crap, right? We stayed in business 11 years because this thing is working. So when I say it's been true all year and even beyond, I mean way beyond. Now, remember last year in early October, when everyone was freaking out about a possible government shutdown, here's what the market looked like. Again, doesn't know what to do, does nothing. Then it plunges. That's a huge gap down. Another one, another down day, trying to get a positive day, then another down day, then a gap up. That's volatility. And yet with our strategy, it held true for another 5% winner in just 3 days. That's 3 different crazy market scenarios and 3 winning trades, 5%, 8%, 5% each in 3 days. And those are the kind of trades Project 52 targets every week, over and over again. So if you're looking at those results thinking it is boring, then the rest of this workshop won't be for you, because the fact that matter is, by sticking to the method and stacking up these small yet meaningful weekly returns, we built a staggering net return of 152% in 2022. And I'm really surprised it wasn't higher than that. And we did this while most investors watched their 401ks tank all year long. Look at that. That's like beyond hope. This is where you lose hope, when you just watch all your stuff go down, 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 down all year. You wish you never even did it. Now, one more reminder, I can't guarantee Project 52 will always dominate the market like we saw in 2022, but I've issuing these opportunities for a long time. And let's be real, whatever system have you seen perform like that as the markets tank? I don't know of one. I mean, which do you prefer, 152% gain, or in the same year with stocks losing 22%? I know you'd want the 152%. The answer is obvious, especially when we have a shot at collecting weekly income over and over and over, just like we have all year long. September, 2,200 in extra income, 500, 400, 700, 600, right? Then we get it again, October, September, October, November, right? This just keeps going on and on and on. And what we're doing here isn't some mystery or some insider secret. And honestly, all you're doing with this strategy is playing Wall Street's own game, the same way they make the rich even richer, even in bear markets. Now, listen, options are designed to set up extremely advantaged trade scenarios for Wall Street. And truthfully, I doubt the old boys club would ever realize mainstream investors would get the ability to use options the way they do. If you would have told me when I started in the 80s that individual traders would be able to do the same things we were doing inside the brokerage firm, I wouldn't have believed it. But here we are. You can even trade on your smartphone. And this is what my whole career is about. So it's why you'll often hear me say that options are the biggest advantage for the little guy since the invention of the internet. That's my statement. You hear people saying that, and that came from Jack Carter, especially weekly options. Weekly options are really the biggest advantage for the little guy since the invention of the internet. And as far as I know, I was the first Wall Street guy ever to unveil a complete premium focused service to retail traders. And yes, I got a lot of flack of that from the elites, but I could care less about what they were saying, right? Making rich people richer makes me sick, which is why I got out of my own fund. I'm way more happy bringing these strategies to the little guy and seeing them get the results. That's what I love. So getting flack from the elites, it's like water off a duck's back. But I was determined to share this stuff because once you see just how powerful these setups are, you'll likely never go back to trading the normal way again. And like I said, even with my background, experience, and the tools I have at my disposal, I could never have compiled a 92.3% win rate picking stocks over the insane year of 2022. And in my opinion, only by using a premium focused, non-directional approach is it possible to have all that type of consistency and win rate in all kinds of markets. And that kind of strategy is even better when the market is volatile like it is now and like it's going to be all through 2023, because higher volatility equals overpriced options, and overpriced options means we can sell them and make some fat premiums. So I mean it when I say it's no surprise that I've had such success in volatile markets. And this strategy is basically tailor-made for market conditions like these. So let me give you one more example. At the beginning of December, the market was flipping from a surprising rally to an ugly-looking meltdown continuation. This was really a crazy time. This is a confused market with loaded volatility. And as you can see, it was big, pulses in both directions with a lot of uncertainty. There was a lot of conviction it was going up, then a lot of conviction it was going down. And right in the middle of this stretch, the Project 52 strategy collected another 5% winner. Now, you wouldn't see this, right? I mean, this is like almost hidden in plain view, but this strategy is out there for you to take advantage of every week. And no, these aren't eye-popping returns like some other traders brag about and often lie about. You know, not every guy that is teaching strategies, or not every guy that competes with me even trades, believe it or not. I trade this strategy, and then I tell you which trade I took, and I teach you how to do it. So these aren't eye-popping returns like other traders brag and often lie about, but they're real returns in these very real markets, the same returns that maintained a 92% win rate throughout the entire year. And over time, those steady, consistent returns have beat just about every high roller out there, as they always have in bear markets. I challenge you to find something or somebody that's done better than this. So with all that said, now I'd like to do a deep dive into my number one strategy for collecting premiums. How's that sound? Does that sound good? All right. I simply call these trades weekly options profits. Nothing fancy, just that, weekly options profits, because that's what they are. So you may have heard about me talk about weekly options profits before. And when you've been trading a strategy this good for this long, you're not exactly quiet about it. I kind of like to brag about this and how well other people are doing. So today, I want to give you a complete reveal on exactly how the trade setup works. And I even have a way for you to join me in my very next trade. So make sure you stay tuned. And before I dive too deep, why don't you get a pen and paper and jot this down. Don't use a cell phone. Just use a good old-fashioned pen and paper. Now, it's important for you to write this down, because you got to understand not just the results of this, but why this thing works, why it works, why I love it, the reasons why, okay? So the very first one, in my opinion, nothing even comes close to this. Number one is collecting premium up front. I absolutely love it. I'm never going to get tired of it. In my opinion, there's nothing better than a trade that allows you to collect and get paid the day you do the trade, even if it goes against you. And right now, premiums are sky high. That's my first reason why I love this. Number two, I really love this part. It requires limited capital. The way we set this trade up allows us to take these high premium trades with very limited capital. For example, you could trade a stock any price. The price of the stock doesn't matter at all, right? You could do this with a $400 setup. You could do this with $2,000, $2,500, $5,000, $10,000. You don't need a lot. The third thing I love about it is there's multiple ways to win. Unlike stock picking, where only one specific outcome results in a profit, this trade has the ability to maintain a profit whether the trade goes up, down, or sideways. That's a beautiful thing. Now, let me be clear. I'm not saying every trade always profits. I would never guarantee returns in any market, but these premiums accompany every trade, and we do have a lot of flexibility to stay ahead in our accounts as long as the market stays within our expected range. Number four, I love about this. I love this. Now, I hated waking up at 4 in the morning doing all this pre-market research for hours before the market opened. And this trade gives me all day Tuesday or even Wednesday to get in, and it's always over by Friday's close, right? So it's a 3-day trade. You get in Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. Real simple. It's consistent. Number five, the risk to reward is built in up front. So every week when I make this trade, I know exactly what my premium is as well as my risk. I know when the trade's going to expire, and I have an exit plan in case I need to get out ahead of time. So every part of the trade is known and planned for in advance. And then number six, this is a biggie. This trade is compoundable. You want to be using compounding in 2023. So if you're here today, you probably know that compounding is the number one key to wealth. And I love that this trade is one that I can scale and compound aggressively over time. Now, are you seeing why this one strategy is the hallmark of my entire 30+ career in the market. This is where it's at, folks. Now, let's dive into how it works. Remember, our goal is to collect a premium up front on that trade. And premium is always collected by selling an option. So our very first move is sell to open an option. And the premium is applied to your account regardless of what happens on the trade. And better yet, option sellers have an almost unbelievable advantage in the market because of how many options buyers lose. So if it's a zero-sum game, which it is, and options buyers are losing 76% of the time, then option sellers are winning. They got a built-in advantage, a 76% advantage built into their side. And the main reason for this is pretty simple. Every option has an expiration date, which means it's on a deadline to perform the way the buyer wants it to perform, or else it becomes utterly worthless. And that's what we're doing. We're selling options while they got a little time value left and then letting them expire worthless. And a worthless option, in short, means the seller of the options win. He sells it while it has a little time value, and 3 days later, it expires worthless. I don't know of anything else in business where you can sell somebody something, and 3 days later, it's not worth nothing, but the guy gladly bought it 3 days prior to that. The only thing I can think of maybe would be fruit and vegetables. You know, they go bad maybe in 3 days, but options buyers are so willing to throw their money at you, it's crazy. Right? Most of the time, the option expires worthless. So the seller is the winner. So option buyer, they want ABC to go up $5 in price by June 17th so they can hit it big. And that's how most people are buying options. But if ABC stock goes down, the seller wins. If ABC stock goes sideways, the seller wins. If ABC stock only goes up a little, the seller wins. And if ABC stock skyrockets after June 17th, the seller still wins. Look at how many ways you have to win, right? This is why I say the odds are so stacked in your favor. It's ridiculous that you can even do this strategy. It seems like it ought to be illegal. It's so good. And this is why that built-in advantage of the seller I talked about is so significant. Now, let's look at this example on Amazon in early April. The stock started higher and then dumped the rest of the week. This is a really ugly chart. You see, it preceded 4 down days. It had an up day, and then it just completely fell apart. Very unpredictable, but very volatile. But did I care? No, because that's exactly what our strategy was built for. So we jumped in on Tuesday, and we got out on Friday and collected a clean 5.4% in the process. Sellers have a huge advantage in this market because there's so many scenarios where they win and so few scenarios where they lose. So in fact, if all you did was go around and sell every option you could get your hands on, I'd imagine you'd do quite well. But old Jack has a lot more precise method than that for you. And that's how my weekly options profit signals won 96% of the time in 2021 and 92% of the time in 2022. And I'm going to try to beat that here in 2023. And lately, even popular news sites have covered this effective approach. Fidelity, the biggest broker, says that this simple trick reduces risk. Seeking Alpha says it's an excellent strategy to generate steady, reliable income. The Wall Street Journal wrote that this loophole can juice returns in any market. That's from the Wall Street Journal. Investopedia even wrote about the weeklies are a bonanza. Now you can get paid 52 times a year, and anyone who uses this trick could take these weekly setups on their own schedule, knowing that this formula has shown the ability to grab an extra $492 in income every week on average on one single trade. Now, most savvy options traders might recognize at this point that there's a problem. Selling an option outright requires a pretty significant amount of capital. Doing naked call selling takes a lot of money. And you have to be prepared to buy that stock back if you end up in a scenario where you don't win and you're required to deliver the stock. That's a really crazy, bad scenario. So for most investors, the capital required And a more open-ended risk profile is a huge obstacle to selling these options outright. You got way too much risk. You don't know where the risk is, and you got to lay out a ton of capital. So most investors never use this trick to collect that sweet premium I've gotten so accustomed to. But the strategy we're talking about today is a twist on selling options, okay? So not only do you not need that massive starting capital stake, but this strategy creates other advantages you don't get with selling options outright. So here's how it works, okay? We sell a more expensive option to collect premium, and at the same time, we buy a less expensive option on the same stock, okay? I'm gonna say that again. We sell a more expensive option to collect a premium, while at the same time, we buy a less expensive option on the same stock. Now, selling the option gives us our premium. And that's a payment we get just for the transaction, and it's ours no matter what happens. But buying that cheaper option, it does several things for us, right? It hedges the trade. That's the number one thing it does. It hedges that trade. So you're not open on one side of the risk. You got to hedge. The other thing buying that cheaper option does is it makes the transaction much cheaper, way cheaper than if you just did a naked selling of a call, right? It makes that transaction cheaper because now the capital required is simply the difference in strike prices between the option you sold and the cheaper one you bought, multiplied by the number of contracts you want to trade. So if you have $1 difference, that's just $100 for that trade, right? If it's $5 difference and you do one contract, you're only investing $500. Now, the third thing it does is buying this cheaper option offers a safety net that naked selling does not have. So if you're new to investing or just new to using options, this can be a lot to take in. So let me summarize what we're doing here, okay? Buying the cheaper option is like taking out an insurance policy against our own bet. We're protecting ourselves in both directions and keeping an immediate premium in the process. Now, I'll give you a real specific example. In fact, it's an example from just this past December, okay? But first, we need to talk about one more advantage that I've built into this trade. But first, we're going to talk about this advantage, and it's called direction, all right? Earlier, I mentioned that sellers have an advantage because the stock can actually go up, go down, or stay sideways and still give the seller the opportunity to win. And this is true, and it's very important. However, we can magnify our advantage by being on the right side of the market. So I call this a market-driven approach, and this is a big reason why it works. Instead of trying to just force a strategy into the market, you have to take advantage and consideration of what is the broad market doing. So if the broad market's moving higher, we're going to plan this in a bullish strategy. If the broad market's trending lower, we're going to plan this in a bearish strategy. So we can always be on the right side of the broad market, meaning this is a market-driven strategy. Now think about it this way. The only way a seller loses is when the stock makes a significant move in a short period of time in a specific direction. That's the only way the option seller loses. In other words, if we have a long bias on our trade, the stock can go up a little, it can skyrocket upward, it can stay the same, it can go down a little, it can go down a lot, but too late. All of these scenarios reward us even when we have a long bias. The only way a seller loses if the stock goes down a lot in a very short period of time. And we do a lot of things to take that out of the scenario. So to help protect against that scenario, we trade with the broad market's trend. Again, this is going to be a key factor in 2023. Remember, when we started in the beginning, I talked about strategy selection being more important than stock selection. And your strategy selection has to be one that's market driven. Means you can't start shorting stocks if the market's in a bull market. means you can't start going long stocks if the broad market's going lower. You're going to get killed. You have to set this up with a market-driven approach. And thankfully, this strategy works very well going up, down, or even in a sideways market. That way, the stock is even less likely to make the one move it can't make. Now, let me show you what I mean just by using a simple chart, okay? Which one of these trades would you rather be in? Here, we got a stock going down, and our trade risk is right here, and this trend is heading right into our risk zone. It's going right at us. It's like a train coming right at us. You can't get out of the way. Here's the opposite. We got a stock trending higher, and our no-go zone is down here. So this stock is moving away from our point of risk, whereas this trade is moving into our point of risk. So which one of these would you rather be in? You want to be in this one, where the price of the stock is moving away from where you have risk. So by trading with market momentum, we protect ourselves against that one scenario we want to avoid to come out as a winner. The stock has to reverse against its own trend, which is very hard, and it has to reverse against the broad market, which is even more hard. Plus, it has to move significantly more than its average range. You got to have all these crazy things line up for you to lose. And that doesn't even mean you're going to lose. And if you think that already feels like we have the odds stacked in our favor, the best part is we give it less than 4 days to make that unlikely move. So every week I execute this trade on Tuesday, and every week the options expire on Friday. And if the options are out of the money, they expire worthless, and we keep 100% of the cash we collected when we put the trade on. So think of it. It's kind of like betting on a horse. All right. Now tell me, which horse do you think is going to win this race? They're coming around the final turn. They're into the final stretch. And this number 5 horse is way ahead of the pack, right? He's got about 30 more yards to go, and this 5 horse is going to win. He's way ahead of the game. Now, what if you could place a bet on the number 5 horse before he crosses the finish line? Not before the race starts, but right before he crosses the finish line, when you already know he's going to win, right? That's not how it works in horse racing. In horse racing, you got to place all your bets before the bell goes off and the horses are out of the gate. With this strategy, you can wait until you clearly see the winner and then bet on him. Again, it ought to be illegal the way this thing works, but it's not. It's just that most people don't know about it. You do it because your chances of winning is incredibly high. So if you could bet on the 5 horse right before he crosses the finish line, you'd take that bet. And that's what we're doing here. We're giving the stock a big lead against where it can go, and then giving it a very short time period for where it can get there. Just like waiting till a horse has a big lead around the final turn before deciding to place your bet, it's just one more way to stack the probabilities of the trade in our advantage, which is why the win rate with weekly options profits has been so high so consistently. And those wins have averaged about 550 of premiums each time with a 10K account. So we're not talking about chump change here. And of course, you can scale with more positions and more position size, just like this message I got earlier in the year from Michael. This is unbelievable. So Michael C says, got this a month ago, made tuition, which means he covered the course of the research service. He made that back on his first trade. Now he has 5 winners in a row, each over $2,000. 10 grand he's made, right? 10 grand. How about Ronaldo? We asked him, hey, did you ever make any money on this weekly options profits? Here's what he says. Each and every week. Hey, how about that? Each and every week. Now, how about Alan, who said he's been using the weekly options profit strategy for about 2 months? He says, I'm up 10,500 on the weekly trade. Unbelievable. And even sent in his brokerage account to prove it. You know, we're not going to put something up here and just make it up. We don't do that here at DTI. So the guy sent us his brokerage account statement, so you could see it right here. He says, analyzing 27 positions that have Jack Carter 3-day as its account. Look at that. That's what I'm talking about. And every one of you on here today, you've got the same talents and abilities that Alan has. You just need to channel them and focus them in the right direction, which is what you're going to do by the time we're done here. You're going to be doing the same thing he's doing in 2023. Now, I promised I'd give you the complete strategy step by step. So let me walk you through it from picking the stock all the way to selecting the two options we use to set up this scenario. So get your pen out, your paper out, write this down. You can use this starting today. Once you go through this with me, there's no waiting. You can use this the very same day today. So step one, remember, I said it was a market-driven approach. So the very first step is to put our fingers on the pulse of the market and see what that is doing. So step one, determine the overall market direction. And here we've done that in this step, and the overall market direction is bearish, okay? We got SPY. That's what, if you don't know what direction the market is trading in, type in SPY, that's S&P 500 ETF, and look at it in a 6-month chart, and you'll see from the left to the right, is it going up or down? It's just that simple. Here, I've got a little more technical analysis built into it, but the same principles and concepts apply. You want to look at a 6-month chart of SPY. Here we see it is bearish. Now, step two, I use my tools to find a high premium, high value stock in line with the overall market. That means I'm looking for a stock that has enough volatility in it that the options are going to have good pricing for us to sell and collect that premium. But that stock also has to be moving in the same direction as the broad market. So a perfect stock for this strategy has two things going for it. It has directional bias and it has volatility, right? That's what it needs. It needs those two things. It has to have the directional bias that's in the same direction as the broad market. It needs to have, at least 500 shares average daily volume, but it needs to have that volatility so those prices are high when we're selling that option. Okay, that's step two. Now, step three, I'm going to use my tools to find a high premium, high volume stock in line with the overall market. Right here, we're going to find a stock that's got those two things I told you about. It's got volatility and a directional bias. The directional bias is in line with the broad market, and it's got enough volatility to where we're going to get a nice fat premium when we sell those options. So here it is on Amazon. This end date is January 3rd, 2023, which is today. And this goes back 6 months. And you can see, except for right here in August, Amazon has been bearish, right? It's below all three of my trend lines. You can see the color-coded daily bars, purple and white. This is lower daily lows and lower daily highs. It's just trending down. This is a great, great, great stock to use. And the price of the stock doesn't matter, right? It could be 3,000, 2,500. It doesn't matter, because the only thing that matters for our capital required is the difference between strike prices times however many options contracts we want to trade. All right. So the price of the stock doesn't matter. Here we got it trending lower. Now, step three, we're going to look for an area where Amazon is not likely to get to by Friday. We call this the no-go zone. All right. So going back to my little bit of technical analysis and looking at where resistance is here, I can put my no-go zone right here. Now, the probability of Amazon going lower is very high. The probability of it going against its own trend, going against the broad market trend, and moving more than it normally moves in a 3-day period, that's all very low. So the odds are stacked way high in our advantage. But we need this no-go zone, because that's what's going to determine what strikes we're going to use to put this trade on. So we identify the no-go zone, and then step 4, we're going to sell an expensive option, and we're going to buy a cheaper option to hedge our bet, to lower our capital required, right? and to give us an opportunity to win either way that trade goes. So here's what we do. We're going to sell an option and we're going to buy a less expensive option on the same stock at the exact same time. Now, I do this through Schwab, and you can do this all on one ticket so that you just put a limit on the net credit, and either you get the limit on the net credit or the trade doesn't go off at all. So in our trade, we're going to sell an 89 strike price call on Amazon, and that's going to bring in cash, premium cash. Now, we're going to spend some of that money, but not all of the money we brought in selling that 89 call. We're going to buy a less expensive 90 strike price call option. That's less expensive because it's further out of the money from the price of the stock. So we sell the 89 call, we bring in cash, we spend some of that cash buying the 90 call, and the difference for what we didn't spend, that's our profit. That's our net credit. All right. So that cash hits our account immediately, selling that 89 strike price call. We're going to spend some of that money buying the 90 strike price call, and the money that's left over is our profit. All right. That's step 4. Step 5 is I just collect the premium, the net difference. I collect that. And then 5% of the cash required instantly. Right. So you can set that up to where that is not 5%. That could be 6, 7, 10, 12%. I've seen them all over the place. 5% per week, that's just my personal sweet spot. So I collect my premium. Then step 6, I wait for the options to expire outside of the no-go zone. If they expire out of the money, they're going to expire worthless. And therefore, I keep 100% of that net credit. It's just that easy, folks. So step 6 is we wait for the trade to expire outside the no-go zone by the end of the week. Now, here's how that trade worked out. I showed you the trade using my TrendPoint software, but I've got a breakdown that I give everybody a video at the end of the week of what happened with that previous week's trade. So here's Amazon. This is the blue line is Amazon. This is the stock price. You see it's going down, bloop, 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 going down. Now on Tuesday, we put this trade on. We sell that 89 strike price call, and see, we're going to get more for the 89 because it's closer to the price of the stock. Right? We're going to get more money for that. We're going to spend some of that money on the 90 call. The difference is our net credit, and we get into this on Tuesday for Friday's expiration. Now, it would be reckless and careless to do this without some type of risk management. And I'm not reckless and I'm not careless. So what I do is I use a tripwire that I invented this. Now, a lot of people say, hey, Jack, I try to put this trade on like you say, and I'm looking for this tripwire, and I don't find it on my trading platform. It's not on your platform. There's no such thing as a tripwire. I invented the tripwire. And what the tripwire is it's a price that if the underlying stock were to go against this and hit this tripwire price, before it gets to our risk price, if it hits that tripwire, we can unwind this trade and come out as close as possible to breaking even. That's how, what I say, we had 3 break evens this year. You can break even on a trade by unwinding it at any time. You put it on Tuesday, you can unwind it any time before Friday's expiration. But you want that little risk, you want that little tripwire in there. You know, that's like an old military term. If the enemy hits the tripwire, you know he's close, you know you're at risk. So, hey, in the unlikely event it hits a tripwire, we unwind it. But most of the time, this is exactly what happens. The stock price is trading lower. I'm going to find that no-go zone, which I just showed you about. See, Amazon's going down. It would have to go against the trend of the broad market to rise. It would have to go against its own trend to rise. It would have to make an abnormal move in just 3 days to ruin this trade, which is why these trades rarely get ruined. And it's why we're over 92% accuracy. So if you don't like losing money and you like a high win rate, you're going to want to do these trades. All right. And this is how this all breaks down. And I give you guys a breakdown every week of how the trade works. And most of the time it works like this, right? But it's good to stay on top of it, keep your sword sharp and know what's happening. So I give you the trade on Tuesday, then I give you the recap at the end of the week. And then step 7, that's my favorite step, enjoying the weekend. Here I'm still trying to surf fish from Naples and not having very much success. But that's what I do with my time off. I'm out there enjoying step 7. Now, let's take a step back and make sure you get the full picture here. Okay. Right now, the markets are volatile, unpredictable, and straight up irrational. And if your stock picks aren't winning, it's not your fault. Even the top experts on Wall Street can't pick stocks to save their life and trade regular options in this market. It's a fool's errand. That's why I follow the golden rule: strategy selection over stock selection. And right now, because premiums are way overpriced, selling options is by far the best strategy you can use for 2023. And if you want to take your trading to a whole nother level where you've never had the kind of success like you want to have, this is what you need to do. I'm just telling you, the straight answer is you want to be doing these trades. And if you ever wanted to collect significant premium, but not had the capital to make it work, by introducing one subtle change, buying that cheaper option while we sell a more expensive one, I've built in an insurance policy that even mainstream traders can now use. It's like betting on a horse in that final stretch, but before the race starts, like all these other people got to bet before the race starts, you can walk in and place your bet right before he crosses the finish line. That's the difference, right? Way much less, way more winning trades. And with these tweaks, we've ended up with a win rate over 90% of the time for the last 2 years. And of course, I'll say it again, it'd be irresponsible to guarantee that'll continue. Nothing in the market is guaranteed. But I do want you to think about something for just a second. And I mean this seriously. Just think about this. Think about if you were looking at the last 2 years of your trading, all the market ups and downs, and you could say, I've won 94% of the time. Think about that. The last 2 years, right? 2021, not a bad year. 2022 took all that away. And everything else, right? Just left you like ripped down to nothing but standing there in your underwear, right? Just took everything from you in 2022. Whereas 2021 wasn't that bad. Then you lose it all. It's enough to make people want to quit. But what if you look back at the last 2 years and you say, I've won 94% of the time? What would happen is you'd fall in love with trading all over again. That's what would happen. And you'd have a big pile of cash you'd be sitting on to make you even love it even more. And I imagine that'd be a game-changing reality for most of the people here, especially when you think about the impact of compounding these opportunities over time. I mean, making 5% return one time probably isn't going to transform anybody's life, but by tapping into the power of the weekly options profits over and over and over again, the results are shocking. I have folks I know that are using accounts as little as 2K all the way up to $500,000. But let's just say someone started with $5,000, 152.7% return. That's an account of $12,635. And that is the power of this, right? This is where you're starting to make some real money. This is where you're catching up. If you've ever felt you're behind, this is where you're starting to catch up. And while that extra money might be very useful for a lot of folks, I doubt it would impact your retirement or your kids' way of life. But just look over 5 years at that same trajectory. $510,224. That's the power of weekly options profits stacking up. That's $510,000 in just a few short years, right? And I know you can maintain that annual ROI. That is the power of this. Now, listen, I cannot and will not promise you or anyone else future earnings, but that $510,000 number in 5 years is completely driven from the average trade results we've seen over the last 12 months of real trades. This stuff is not made up, folks. This is stuff we've published. It's the real deal. And that's including winners and losers. So including market upswings, market meltdowns, and sideways markets too. And frankly, even half of that would still be incredibly powerful if you were up even just half of that. And I really think that the freedom this type of trading gives me is worth as much as the incredible returns it's piled up. This is why I do it. I mean, I used to sit in a hedge fund office that didn't even have any windows in it. And we traded all day from bell to bell, making hundreds of trades. I don't do that anymore. Here's me loving on my granddaughter, Nora, right before we're about to have a big dinner. Here we rented a little VRBO, my son, Nora, this is my grandson, little Jack, right? We're all playing around in this beach house wrestling. Here we are out at the beach, and this was the normal light. That wasn't even done with a filter. That was like, vacation time. Here, I'm doing another one of my favorite things. I'm snowboarding in Canada, but we're using a helicopter to get around from glacier to glacier, right? No lift lines for me, man. We're using helicopters. And then this is my little Jack. He's my grandson. He's my pride and joy. He's everything. And I get to spend a lot of time with him where I wouldn't have if I wasn't using this. So here we are fishing outside of Boulder, Colorado. And that kid is these are the love of my life, is my grandkids. And my best students can attest to that. Here's Richard G. He says, Jack, I've been one of your VIP members for the weekly options profits for about 6 months. And I can only remember 1 week where we had a trade that took some heat, but still won. He says, your track record is 100% since I've been a member. Richard G. Thank you for that, Richard G. I'm waiting for you on this call here to send me in a testimonial like this. Here's Laura P. This blows my mind. I didn't even know about this. She just wrote this in. I don't know her, but I know she's doing well. She's saying, using Jack's strategies, I'm now bringing in a minimum of 3,100 in premiums every week into my account. And I think my biggest week was just under $7,000 in premium in 1 week. I'd love to meet Jack someday in person, able to turn that corner and replace my pre-retirement income, which has become very important to my husband and I with everything that's going on. 7,000 in premiums in 1 week. That's amazing. Way to go, Laura P. Here's Deanna. The plays are easy to grasp. 50K to start. She's now in the $90,000 range. That's getting rich, folks. That is getting rich. This is like passive income, okay? She's getting rich from this. Now, I'm not saying this is a get rich quick scheme, because it's not. There's no getting rich quick with this. I just showed you that we're piling this up every week. But if you want to see real measurable wealth, do these trades. Here's Rich L. Talk about mind-blowing. Rich says, I made around $133,000 since I started last September. My record is $14,905 in 4 days. Thank you so much, Jack, for sharing this with the public. This is why I do it. This is the kind of report I want to get from you. Even though you and I don't know each other, I care about your success. And I want to see you have the kind of success Rich L is having. And I'm here to help you do it. $133,000 with $14,905 in 4 days as a record. This is what you want to be doing. And today I want to invite you to jump in alongside this premium trading community, starting with your very first weekly options profit alert inside. I've already done it this morning. It's already sitting there waiting for you. This is the system that I have for you. Weekly options profits. And every single week, I send you the #1 weekly options profit setup. I send that out to you on Tuesday, preferably before 11 a.m. And then I do the trade. And once I get a confirmation that my trade was filled, then I send you the exact trade. And I give you 3 exit strategies, because we don't know how this thing is going to work out. And you want to know how your exit strategy is going to be before it doesn't start to work out. So I give you that ahead of time, so you're totally prepared for whatever happens every week. So you're going to get the stock, you're going to get the options, the strike price, the entry price, the exit price, everything you need, the net credit. I'm going to give you the tripwire, every single piece of data you need to hit the ground running. I'm going to give you. That's 52 weekly income trade recommendations per year. And as Investopedia said, now you can get paid 52 times a year, because every position we place has a guaranteed premium that hits our account as soon as we put it on. And like I said, my students absolutely love this. Gregory says, Jack, your weekly options is money. Jyoti says 100% profit so far in 4 months. Hey, if you'd like to have a better win rate and you'd like to have cash hit your account, you need to get in on this weekly options profits trade. Michael C, 6 out of 6 winners with weekly options profits. But there's a lot more inside my weekly options profit membership than just 52 income opportunities you'll receive. In fact, I'd argue this next piece is even more valuable than these insanely accurate trade recommendations themselves. So listen, I love fishing. You know that. I hope you know that. I talk about it all the time. And the only reason I can truly enjoy it is because somebody took the time to teach me how to do it. So when you join me in weekly options profits today, I'm not going to leave this strategy as a black box mystery. I'm going to walk you through every single detail. That's why I'm going to train you the way I wish someone had trained me when I first started. I'm going to give you all these modules. Now, I want you to go over this. Module 1 is a complete A to Z coverage on how to pick the stocks, and get this part right and you'll master the strategy quickly. Module 2 provides you with everything you need to know about options. If you're new to options, you want to go to that first. Module 3 focuses on the first way to play options in these markets. Module 4, we focus on the number one way to play them, which is what we learned about here. This is the engine that drives the train. Module 5 is for those rare times when you'd want to buy weekly options, calls or puts without a hedge. And number 6 teaches you a bonus strategy. It helps you manage volatility using weekly options. And I know some folks want to have all these tools in physical form, so I've even prepared a home study kit. This is where I mail you this to your house. Now, I get a lot of static about this home study kit. People say, Jack, why don't you just let them download it? Why do you mail it to their house? Like, what do you think this is, 1984? Like, nobody mails anything. Well, listen, like I said, I don't know you personally, but I care about your success. And I know for a fact that if I mail you this home study kit and you take it to a quiet place in your house where you could focus on it without distractions and without people hassling you, and without the phone ringing or the dog barking, the kids driving you nuts, take this home study kit to a quiet place in your house where you can focus on it. And if you do that, I know you'll get better results. I know you will. That's why I do it, because I care about your success. If I cared about the money, I wouldn't mail the thing to you, okay? I care about your success. That's why I send it to you. And I've got a few more bonuses for you too. We got this bonus video training and case study. Every week I add a new video that covers the last week's trade. I add a bunch of new cutting edge stuff up there too. And of course, when you get started today, you're also going to get unlimited email support. I really think this is priceless because our team is ready. They're ready to help you with everything. And they also escalate your email to me. So I'm always going to be here to help you. You're never going to be in this alone. You're always going to have me doing this with you. So you're going to get lifetime access to the members online portal. Now, let me tell you about this online portal. This holds all the membership material. It's password protected with no monthly membership fees. It holds all the training in an easy to navigate format. And we keep this updated weekly so you're always up to date. And this is a phenomenal suite of resources hand prepared by my team and I. You're going to get Jack's 3-day option strategy. You're going to have to go in and watch these videos. You're going to love it. You got the home study kit. You got the whole system, unlimited email support, the weekly options trading modules, the bonus video training. And of course, I'm going to send you that VIP trade alert every Tuesday morning. And it's specifically designed for serious traders, the ones that are ready to take their finances into their own hands, people that are willing to invest in themselves and bet on yourself in 2023. That's the best thing you could do, is bet on you, right? Bet on yourself with a guy behind that that's willing to help you succeed. And I can't think of a better time to take control of your finances than this year ahead. If you want to have the same results you've always been getting, then just do what you've been doing. If you want to get to the place where you really want to be, where you have the skill to make cash flow every week. If you want high winning trades, if you want ease of trading, where you're not doing a million trades a day, this is what you want. You want the weekly options profits. And you're going to be trading the very best strategy I've ever found in these markets. This is the meat and potatoes on everything you need to know for picking these weekly options profits trades yourself. And there's no way I could put a value on the 30 plus years of experience and expertise that I've loaded into these courses. But I think the weekly options profits would be a great deal at $5,000 per year. I really do. And I really think that that should be the price of it. And the Wall Street firms I've worked for in the past, they had to pay a lot more than $5,000 to learn how to do this. But I want to make this a special deal to help people take advantage of and work this throughout 2023. I want you to look out into the future and imagine you've had 50 some weeks of profitable trades with no stress. It doesn't matter if the market goes up or down. It doesn't matter if we're in a recession. It doesn't matter about a recession, war, peace. None of that matters. Today, you can get this entire program for just $1,295. That's going to give you lifetime access to the Traders Portal and 12 months of VIP trades. Just $1,295 unlocks every Project 52 trade for 2023 with my help, giving it to you every week. The same trades that have delivered an exceptional win rate through some of the craziest markets we've ever seen, and could have more than doubled an account in the same year when most folks lost 20 to 30% of their retirement. Think about it. This strategy can help you double your account even when other people are getting killed. So if there's one strategy I trust for the year ahead, it's this strategy. I absolutely love this one. And your first weekly options profits trade is waiting inside the members area right now. I just put this trade on before we started this event. So it's not too late for you to go in there and do this very same trade. And you can have cash hit your account today. Just go to jackcartertrading.com/P52. You'll get the whole year for just $1,295 with lifetime access to the members area portal and me giving you a new trade every week for the weekly options profit system. Now, if you're looking for a hot stock that will explode in 2023, this won't be for you. If you want to go all in guessing which direction the market will go next, this won't be your cup of tea either. But if you're interested in a proven way to end up a winner, the vast majority of the time, no matter what kind of markets we get, this is where you want to be. This is the strategy you want to use, especially considering how fast these steady gains have the potential to stack up in a few years. Look, we're going to be talking about 2024 before you know it. So rack up these trades in 2023 and make this the best year you ever had. All right. Now, I can't guarantee you any results, as I keep reminding you, but I do want to be clear that the staggering chart isn't made up from cherry-picked trades. Those results are based on the real average returns from the complete 2022 track record of this strategy. And I want you to join today with confidence, knowing that this strategy has paid time and time again and again, over 92% of the time and over 94% of the time the last 2 years combined. This is a real winner. This is what you need. $1,295 for a full year special offer. Just go to jackcartertrading.com/P52 or give us a call at 904-416-1776. Have your credit card ready and you can speak to one of our educational directors. They're there standing by for you right now. We got Jeffrey, Kelly, Melissa, Mike, and Carissa. They can all help you. They all know Jack. They can get you a username and password and get you right in there started. Now, I got a few questions that I've got before that I'm going to open up the chat. So the first question is, how much do I need to start with? And I'd say you need about $5,000 would be the best way. You can get into some of these for as little as $500, but you really need to have at least $2,500 to see some real measurable wealth. The next question is, Do I have to rush into the trade every week? And the answer is absolutely not. I would never give you a strategy where you'd have to, you're driving in the car and you get the alert from Jack and you damn near get in a car wreck because you're trying to get online and get your trade done on your phone. I would never give you something like that. Okay, there's no rush to get into these. I've even gotten into them on Wednesday when something happened on Tuesday where I couldn't do it. So there's no rush to get into this. And the other question is, what happens if the market crashes further? Well, we always have a hedge with this strategy. So if the market did crash, you'd probably have the biggest profit on one trade you ever had in your life. All right. What do I need to do to close the trade? Now, this is a question I get a lot. And what's beautiful is you don't have to do anything. You don't have to close the trade at all. If these options are out of the money on Friday's expiration, they're going to expire worthless, and your brokerage firm is just going to journal the trade off of your account. You keep 100% of the credit that you collected when you put the trade on. And the win rate, we've had 96% since 2021. We had a great year in 2022. I cannot wait for 2023. The average gain has been about 5% so far. That's just my sweet spot. Again, I'm going to show you how to use a sliding scale to target the kind of yield you want. So that's just $12.95 for the full year. Go to jackcartertrading.com/P52 or give us a call at 904-416-1776. Now let me open it up for a few questions. I know I see a lot of them loading up in the chat here. So let's see what we got. All good. All right. Yeah. Timothy Lean is going to buy an airplane. So Doug says, how do you calculate 92.3? That is the number of, that's a percentage of times we had a winning trade in 2022. Bruce G says, how is this different from the weekly options profits program? Bruce, this is the weekly options profits program. No, we're not selling any puts. Okay, Mike says, Jack, can you give me an exact example of the trade? Yep, I gave you that one on Amazon. Amazon was trading about 84. We sold the 89 strike price call and bought the 90 strike price call. So those options were already out of the money, and they were out of the money at expiration, and we kept all that profit. So Don says, what's the typical number of contracts? Well, it's going to depend upon the difference in strike prices. So if there's $1 difference in strikes, that's going to be $100. So you would trade 50 contracts, right? If there's a situation where there's a $5 difference in strikes, then you're going to trade 10 of them with a $5,000 account. So it's just going to depend week to week. Okay, Aaron says, I like the tripwire. Seems it would be tricky figuring out where to get us to prevent the loss. I totally agree, Aaron. I forgot to mention, I have a calculator, a tripwire calculator inside the members area. So all you got to do to figure it out, it's a formula that I came up with. And the reason I came up with this is because the real break even that you see on any calculator or you talk to from any guru, the real break even on this trade is not what they say it is, because it just isn't. There's too much implied volatility. So what we have to do is make like a reality break even. And that's where the tripwire comes out. And you can go into the members area, you type in the difference in strikes, how much net credit you're going to get. your lower strike price, the one you're short, and it'll give you the tripwire. So what you do with the tripwire is you can set it up in your brokerage account to send you an email and it'll say, hey, if this stock hits this price, send me an email. And then you can go in and unwind the trade if you want. You could leave it alone if you think the options are still going to expire out of the money. Or you could even set it up so if the stock hits the tripwire, your brokerage firm will automatically unwind those trades. Peter says, I am 100% winner. I've listened to Mighty Jack. Thank you, Peter Mounts. Yeah, Bob, the tripwire, it's a little bit better than the break-even point, because the break-even point with this strategy that you read about from all the gurus and all the books and all the calculators, that break-even is not real. So I made the tripwire to where it's even actually more real. Best strategy ever. Yeah. Yep, Kumar, that's $1,295 per year for the VIP picks every Tuesday, but you'll have lifetime access to the entire members portal. Well, it's always the same. Cher says, how much would I have to invest to make $5,000 a week? You'd have to flip that around and say, if I want my percentage return to be $5,000 and I'm making 10% per week, how much do I need? Well, you'd need $50,000, right? So that's how you figure it. You just figure how much do I want to make, and then what percentage of that would I need to have capital to make that happen. Yep, there's a difference between this and my number one monthly trade. I put this trade out every week, and it's an options trade where we're collecting premium, and my number one monthly trade is just a simple stock trade. Yeah, so Monica asks a great question. She says, will we be taught how to find our own trades and how to identify opportunities? Monica, that's a great question. And that's really what we're doing here is when I give you this trade on Tuesday, that's a trade that fits the profile of the education that you learned. But it's not like that's the only trade that's out there. There's hundreds, if not thousands, of great opportunities out there. And Monica, what I want you to do is go through this training, especially the 3-day cash machine videos I have in there. And then you'll see how to go do that on other trades, on other stocks, and using different strikes. I totally want to teach you how to do this, because my thing is, you give a man a fish, you feed him for a day. You teach a man to fish, you feed him for a lifetime. So that's what I'm doing here. I'm trying to teach you how to fish, but I'm going to give you these trades that fit the profile of what I'm teaching you to do. And we never roll out. We never roll out. Scott's saying, do you ever roll a position? Nope, we don't. So Alan says, if there is a crash and you're down more than the strikes, then what do? You could lose 95% of the amount at risk. Yes, you could. But Alan, if you have this set up right, like we are now for a bear market, and the market crashes, you're going to have a huge, huge, huge profit by staying long the long option. So question is about putting in 100 contracts. You could put it in, there's no commission. There's a 65-cent fee per contract. So if you're trying to do 100 contracts, you could put in 50 easy and then do another 50, or mix it up, or even use different strike prices. But there's no problem getting filled. I've seen 7,000 options contracts get filled on both sides. So yeah, that's $3.5 million invested in one position if we're looking at a 5% difference in strikes. No, I don't teach this in the income loop. So do you use different stocks week to week, or do you stay with the same? Right now, we're staying with the same. It's easier to find one stock and go back to the well on that stock, so to speak, every week than it is to find a new stock. So if I got one and it's working good, I'll stay with it for months or longer until it stops working. Kumar wants to know how long this program has been around. Kumar, believe it or not, I launched this program on November 18th, 2011. Yeah. And like I say, you can't continue to sell a product like this if it doesn't work, right? I don't know anybody that has a system, a research service that's 11 years old. I don't. And this one is because it works. No, I'm not using high volatility stocks, Michael. I don't use any Greeks at all. What level of trading is needed? Just your old regular old level. You don't need any special options level 3 or anything like that. There's no margin, right? You could use margin, but we're just doing this cash. I do it in an IRA. I do it in a regular account. It works great. This is the single best thing you can do for yourself in 2023. The single best thing you could do for yourself is to learn how to create cash flow on a weekly basis. That's the biggest and most valuable skill you can have, is to learn how to make weekly cash flow. And that's what this is all about. Weekly cash flow, weekly options, where we're using stocks as an asset to create cash flow using a very unique strategy. So I know you're going to love it. If you're tired of losing, if you want to get on a killer win rate system, if you want to see cash hit your account every week, then this is the course you're going to want. This is the training you're going to want. Yeah, this is what you're going to want. The most you can lose, Christopher, is the amount you put up on any one trade. So your risk is defined. And how this would not work is if, for example, Amazon went above both of our strike prices. But we would prevent that from happening by getting out when the stock hit the tripwire, right? We don't want to lose 100% of what we put up in the trade. We want to put on the trade and take our money. But if it doesn't work, we want to get out as close as possible to break even. We don't want to put all that capital at risk. So this is for you. I got more happy customers with this than anything else. I've got more people making more money with this than anything else, right? I got more people using the word love when they describe a trading strategy. They're applying that word to this strategy more than anything else. I know there's a lot of stuff out there. There's a lot of stuff that has a bunch of trades. There's a lot of stuff that might be sexy and fun, but I'm not into sexy and fun. I'm not into that stuff with this. I'm into making money, right? That's what this is all about. This is a money-making strategy. It's been working for decades. I know you're going to love it. I know this is going to change the way you trade. I know for a lot of you that haven't had the success you wanted in 2022, this one program can make a difference. So invest in yourself, right? The single best thing you could do is invest in yourself. So for $1,295, that's an investment in yourself to learn how to make cash flow every week for life. And I think that's a great deal. We've already seen where people are making thousands of dollars every week from this. So $1,295 for a full year, I think that's a complete no-brainer. And I can't wait to help you get in on this. All right. So go to jackcartertrading.com/P52. Get your username and password set up. You can still do the trade that I put in there this morning. I did the trade myself. Okay. So if you got some questions, give us a call at 904-416-1776. They'll help you get all set up. We got Jeffrey standing by. We got Melissa, Carissa, Kelly, and Mike, all of them ready to help you get going. So give them a call or go to jackcartertrading.com/P52. I know you're going to love it. This is going to change the way you trade for the rest of your life. So invest in yourself and take advantage of it. That's all I got for you today. I'm thankful you guys got on here. Like I've said, it's the people that want to get an education that are going to succeed in 2023. So many people just say, hey, I don't want to know. I don't want to know how it works. Just tell me what to do. Well, those people are going to get killed in 2023. It's the people like you that get on here that want to get an education, that get that education. Those you people are going to be successful. That's why I'm so happy you got on here, so that you can make an investment in yourself, because it's the people like you, and every single one of you that's on here today has the talent and ability to be as successful as any other example I showed you. The only difference is you got to take that talent and ability and channel it and focus it into a system that works, and then work the system. That's what you want to do here. All right. Have a great day. I hope you enjoyed this presentation as much as I enjoyed doing it with you. And I can't wait to help you. So remember, this isn't the end of our relationship. When you sign up today, this isn't the end of it where you go off on your own. You're never going to be alone. I'm always going to be here for you. All you got to do to ever reach me is send an email to support@jackcartertrading.com, and I'll get back to you within 24 hours. Right? Yeah, I love it. Thank you, Jody, for being on here. It's not an automatic renewal, Glenn. We don't do that. That's not a cool thing, you know, when you get that answer, when you get that bill and you didn't expect it. So we'll give you a call and make sure you want to go on. Most people renew every year. You know, why wouldn't you want to renew when every week you got another money-making trade coming your way? So I can't wait to help you with this. I can't wait to hear from you also. You know, all those great testimonials we got, you could be the next one. You could. I know you could. I see this coming from people that you just wouldn't think, people that didn't have success doing anything, right? For years, never had success. They do this and they have success. That's why they love it. That's why they use the word love when they're talking about a trading strategy, because they had their ass kicked for 10 years. Now they start doing some trades and they're not losing anymore. They're falling in love with trading all over again. And they're falling in love with trading because they're making money. And that's what it's all about. The best part about trading is taking a profit. And that's what we're doing almost every Friday. So get in on this. Don't procrastinate. Don't think you'll do it later. Do it right now, right? Take advantage of it. Invest in yourself. And you'll be glad you did. Adios, amigos. I'll talk to you soon.